Well, as they come now, they build up the sprint behind, and Caleb Ewan is not in on this one, as it is Israel. Oh, he's done it right on the line.
A 21-year-old from Ensenada has just rewritten what it means to be cycling's next big star. Isaac Del Toro didn't come from Europe's traditional pathways, but from a Mexican development team determined to prove its country could produce world-class riders. Now, he's stacking results that make comparisons to Tadej Pogačar feel less like hype and more like prophecy. Del Toro's breakthrough came at the Giro d'Italia, where he wore the maglia rosa for over a week and claimed a mountain stage victory on stage 17. Calm under pressure, he carried himself with maturity beyond his years. Though a dramatic showdown on the Col del Finestre cost him the overall, he had already become a national hero, making cycling headline news in a country where football usually reigns. From the opening days when he seized pink in Siena, he raced with a fearlessness that belonged to seasoned veterans. Fans suddenly found themselves watching not just a young rider with promise, but a genuine contender who forced even his rivals to take notice. His rise traces back to AR Monex, a team built by the Rodriguez brothers to fix Mexico's broken path to the pros. They spotted him at 15 and were struck by his focus. While teammates fooled around, Del Toro conserved energy, trained with intent, and even popped wheelies when climbs crushed everyone else. He demanded as much from others as he did from himself, and that intensity became the foundation of his career. For Alejandro Rodriguez, watching him in pink wasn't shocking. It was the payoff for years of planning. He called it proof that Mexico could once again produce riders capable of inspiring generations. That's the bigger story. Del Toro is more than a rider. He's a signal of what's possible. Born into a cycling family in Ensenada, Del Toro sharpened his climbing legs on Mexico's highest peaks, including the 4,631-meter Nevado de Toluca. Mountain biking and cyclocross gave him handling skills that later kept him upright while rivals crashed. A fractured femur once threatened his progress, but he pushed through rehab while idolizing Egan Bernal's parallel recovery from a career-threatening crash. That resilience became part of his DNA. Every setback became fuel. Instead of slowing him, challenges taught him discipline, to use pain as training, to turn obstacles into tools. That mindset is what allowed him to step into a Grand Tour and ride as if he had already been there before. The Tour de l'Avenir is cycling's crystal ball, and in 2023, Del Toro made it clear where he was heading. He became the first Mexican to win the race, sweeping overall, mountains, points, and best young rider classifications. A decisive win on the Col de la Loze turned heads, and UAE Team Emirates locked him into a long-term contract through 2029. They knew they had unearthed a generational talent. Tour de l'Avenir has revealed legends before: Le Monde, Quintana, Bernal, and Pogačar. By adding his name to that list, Del Toro placed himself in the same conversation before he had even signed his first World Tour contract. The writing was on the wall. He was not just another strong climber, he was a future leader. From his debut, Del Toro looked like a seasoned winner. He took a stage in the leader's jersey at the Tour Down Under, finished fourth at Tirreno Adriatico, and claimed victory at Milano-Torino, celebrating with a theatrical bow that echoed the confidence of Pogačar. He wasn't waiting his turn, he was already shaping races. Even his losses told a story. At Tirreno Adriatico, he didn't just fade against veterans, he held his own and showed he belonged in that company. Every race was a classroom, and he was a quick learner, adding details to his skill set that would make him even harder to beat. At the 2025 Giro, Del Toro seized pink with a fearless ride into Siena and kept it long enough to mark a generation. He became the youngest rider this century to wear it, won stage 17 in commanding fashion, and became just the third Mexican to claim a Grand Tour stage. Even when he lost the overall, Mexico celebrated as if he had won. Crowds gathered at the Angel de la Independencia in Mexico City, a site usually reserved for football triumphs. The images were striking, tricolors waving in Rome, TV broadcasts across Mexico replaying his bow on Italian roads. A country with faint cycling memories now had a living, breathing star. The Giro didn't just crown a young rider, it lit a fire in a nation. Instead of losing momentum after Giro heartbreak, Del Toro ignited a streak. He swept stages and overall at the Tour of Austria, added Spanish one-day victories at Clásica Terres de l'Ebre, Circuito de Getxo, and Vuelta a Burgos, then dominated Italy's autumn classics. At the Giro della Toscana, he attacked on Monte Serra and rode solo to victory. Days later, he stormed the Coppa Sabatini with an explosive late move. By season's end, his tally soared into double digits, leaving even him saying, "This is not normal." His dominance in Italy was especially symbolic. Italy has been the stage where legends prove themselves, from Coppi to Nibali. For a Mexican to arrive, bow after victories, and command respect, it felt like history bending in real time. His streak fueled UAE Team Emirates' near-record season. The squad closed in on HTC's all-time tally of 85 wins, with 20 different riders contributing. Debates swirled about super team budgets, but Del Toro's victory stood out as more than just the product of resources. He was turning opportunities into dominance. And unlike some riders hidden behind stronger teammates, he proved he could lead. Each solo attack and late-race surge showed not just legs, but vision, the ability to sense when a race was cracking and to take it by force. Comparisons to Pogačar are inevitable. Both won the Tour de l'Avenir, debuted at the Tour Down Under at 20, and raced with the same attacking spirit. But Del Toro isn't a copy. He studies the best, admiring Vingegaard's control, Van der Poel's aggression, Peterson's relentlessness, then adds his own flair. The bow at the line, the refusal to race conservatively, the calm under fire. These are signatures of someone building his own legend. At the upcoming World Championships in Rwanda, he'll line up against his own teammate and idol. Internal competition has broken many prospects, but for Del Toro, it's another test. If he can go shoulder to shoulder with Pogačar, the comparisons may finally shift. It won't be about who he reminds people of, but about who will be able to keep up with him. Del Toro's rise means something bigger than wins. Mexico has had cycling stars before. Raúl Alcalá at the Tour, Julio Pérez Cuapio at the Giro, but never a rider this young, this complete, this ready to lead. Alejandro Rodriguez said it best. The country has its new hero, and Del Toro is the one carrying that mantle. Crowds, TV coverage, and kids dreaming of bikes instead of goals. It's the kind of ripple effect that can reshape a nation's sporting identity. For the first time, cycling in Mexico doesn't feel like nostalgia for past achievements. It feels like a beginning, anchored by a rider who's proving he can inspire both at home and abroad. Isaac Del Toro doesn't waste chances. From the high climbs of Baja California to podiums across Europe, he's carried himself like someone who knew this day was coming. Call him the next Pogačar, if you like, but the evidence points to something else. The first Del Toro. Mexico has its idol. Cycling has its new problem, and the future has already arrived, earlier than anyone expected.